I'm running through like situations where I like can recall feeling that way to try and then like put them together. I was actually having a conversation with one of my really good mates, and he was like, oh, because he had challenges in his previous relationship, and and he's like, oh, like, I'm currently seeing this other girl, and like, I just not that like she's super, like on paper she's super nice and stuff, and so I, because I like, I was definitely like calm,
Yeah.
and so I guess this is where like, because I knew him really well, like I was able to actually provide quite specific prompts where I would be like, essentially said to him, well, do you think it's because of like this or that? And I kind of was like, well, is what you're looking for, there's like a line of like, knowing you, do you think that you feel like you need to be, and knowing how he operates in the rest of his life, do you feel like you need to be challenged? And then he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, well, does that apply here too? And so like, I was almost thinking like, well, then can you think of a way that will allow you to be positively challenged rather than the challenge being like, oh, destructive behaviors, like having to deal with that, or, like there's a lot of overlap between being challenged and like, that surfacing at least partially through negative behaviors. And so that was kind of like one where I was able just to really sit back and like repeated prompts of like, well, what about this? And then like, where we arrived was he was like, oh, I actually think I like completely understand it now. And so, he finished at either like at least a calm, if not starting to blue spark about like, um, positive ways to achieve happiness, because he was definitely red sparking. Where it's like, oh, never going to find someone who's like, I'm happy with that isn't, going to drive me crazy and whatever. And so like, yeah, I think that was like probably a pretty good example
Okay.
of this.
So this is
It was
good.
like, and it was really like do an input, then observe the change,
Yeah.
and then like an influencing action, and then observe the change, influencing action, observe the change.